and welcome to the Jakob Startup Competition 2022.
This is Thea, my name is Elias, and we are the two main organizers of JSC.
What is JSC? JSC is an international startup competition entirely organized by students for students, and we're one of the biggest startup competitions in both Germany and Central Europe.
We are extremely excited to welcome all of you, either here on our campus at Jacobs University Bremen, or online at home in front of your laptops, as this final event is a hybrid one.
For the past year, we have worked really hard to make this event a reality and to provide young startups with a chance to pitch their business idea. Today, we're extremely excited to welcome 10 young startups from all around the world here on our campus.
And none of this would have been possible without the amazing support of all of our partners, our jury members, speakers, and mentors, and of course, our entire organizing team. So a big thank you to all of you.
Hey, I'm Abigail Christie, head of the Participants Management Committee for JSC 2022. Some of you have probably seen my name already on a couple emails, especially if you are participants. This year's competition was tough. We had over 110 applicants from 36 different countries and 76 different universities, including some names like Stanford, Cambridge, and Jacobs University, of course. So if you're a finalist, you have made it far. And this is leading up to be a phenomenal competition. We look forward to having you here in Bremen.
Hi everyone, I'm Severin, the head of Final Event for JSC 2022. And we at the Final Event Committee have been working very hard over the past months to implement our so-called trifold approach, consisting of mentorship, networking, and resources, which can all be found within our activities. This includes our mentors that play a huge part in our trifold approach by providing networking and mentoring experience for the finalists to help advance their ideas. This also includes our speakers, who provide knowledge and experience and really drive forward our networking and again mentorship aspect of the event, also facilitating a very important skill set via their workshops. Last but not least, we have our partners that support us and represent our networking and resources approach via monetary resources and help facilitate a real change to the participants over a long time. And with that, I would like to welcome all our speakers, mentors, and partners here on campus or online. Thanks for joining us for JSC 2022.
Hello everyone, I'm Lucas, head of the Sponsors and Finance Committee for JSC 2022. I want to take this opportunity to thank our amazing sponsors for supporting us in this event. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. First of all, Starthaus Bremen, a long-time sponsor of ours, is again providing their financial and non-financial support for this event. Acronis, a new addition to our lineup, is also supporting this event, which we're very excited about. Next up, our gold partners, Deloitte and the European Space Agency Business Incubation Center, are also new additions to our lineup, and it's really exciting to have them on board. Unitechnics, a silver partner, is also a new addition, and Sparkasse Bremen, a long-time spending sponsor, is also supporting us this year again. Thank you so much for your support. It's really amazing to have you, and without you, it wouldn't be possible. Looking forward to meet you at the final event.
Thank you so much, guys.
As you can see, there are many different people involved in the realization of this event. So thank you very much for your hard work and dedication.
Today, 10 young startups will have the chance to pitch their business idea in front of a knowledgeable jury and win monetary prizes up to 3,000 euros. But they can also obtain valuable knowledge for their further startup journey.
So to all of our participants who are with us today, we wish you best of luck with the competition. And to the rest, I hope you will enjoy the Jakob Startup Competition 2022.
And with this, we would like to get started with the Jakob Startup Competition 2022. And before we do so, we would like to say, first of all, a huge thank you to our organizing team, which you can see here. You can see them running around, and yeah, without you guys, this wouldn't have been possible. So thank you so much to you guys for dedicating your time to JSC next year's studies. We really appreciate it. But we also have other people with whom this wouldn't be possible.
Exactly. And these are our partners. So Lucas already has introduced you to our financial partners. And without those, it would not have been possible. None of us would be here today. But of course, we also have other partners who support us in making this event a reality. First of all, we have Jakobs University Bremen and the Schaffhausen Institute of Technology, who have been providing us with a lot of support in terms of logistics, in terms of technicalities to make this event real. Then we have a number of other our partners who are also here present today, and I hope you get to know them. A big thank you to all of them.
Exactly, and as Severin already mentioned, we have our trifold approach, which we base everything on what we do at JSC. We have three main pillars. The first is mentorship. We have some of our mentors here today. In total, we have a team of 22 mentors, and they have been providing mentorship and guidance to the participating teams in the past few weeks. So a big thank you to them. And they also provide them with resources, which is our second pillar. Not only do we provide the monetary resources with the prize money, but also non-monetary resources such as knowledge through the workshops we had yesterday, and also contacts, which brings us to the third pillar, which is networking. As I like to say, your network is your net worth. So we want to provide a networking opportunity for everyone, especially to the young startups and to the young entrepreneurs to get the most out of JSC. Which brings us to how you can make actually the most out of this experience. First off, network with everyone, network with the other teams, with our partners, with our organizers, with the guests, everyone that is here, and leverage the opportunity we're giving you here. The next step is engage in the Q&A sessions. After every of the 10 pitches, there's going to be time for you, the audience, to ask questions. This is going to be able in person and online. We'll come to that later on, but do engage and ask the startups your questions. And lastly, please enjoy your experience, enjoy the pitches. We have amazing speeches lined up, and we're very excited that we'll have amazing partners here. So really enjoy your time here and make the most out of your time at JSC.
Exactly. And to provide you with some more context of what this event is all about, we have 10 finalist teams who come from all around the world and also from a variety of different sectors and fields. But for this event, we try to find something that unites all of them. That is why we have chosen a specific theme under which all of the workshops that we had in the past couple of days, together with the teams already here, and also today's speeches, will revolve around. And for this theme, we have decided to go with digital business transformation, as we think that this is something that a lot of businesses, if not all businesses, are experiencing currently. And it does not necessarily mean that from now on there will only be digital products or services, but it changes how a business lives and how it works from the inside. And we try to shed some light on that in the past days, and I hope we continue to do so today.
Exactly. And before we come to the interesting part, to the speeches and then to the pitches, we'd also like to remind you of our hygiene concept. When you entered, you were all checked for a 2G Plus status, and you got this wristband. If you haven't done so, please do that. What does 2G mean? 2G means that you're either fully vaccinated or recovered plus tested. The testing does not apply to people who received their second dose or recovered within the past 3 months or already got their booster shot. And one small reminder, please always wear your FFP2 mask or a KN95, except when you are here on stage presenting or eating and drinking. We want to make this event safe for everyone, as we're still in a global pandemic. So please make sure to adhere to these rules.
And now an important point that goes all to our Jakobs University students who are joining us today, either online or here with us in the room, because we have been cooperating with a number of classes that are taught at Jakobs University, and it is actually possible for you to gain bonus points for those classes by attending the Jakobs Startup Competition. So those classes are Finance and Accounting, International Strategic Management, and Organization and Human Resource Management, as well as a career services seminar for which you could register in the beginning of the semester. So now we need to make sure that you are actually here and that you're attending this event. And for this, you can scan this QR code, and we will also send a message into the chat that will guide you to a Microsoft form that you will have to log in with your Microsoft Jakobs University account. And then we just want you to answer one question and to log yourself as present. But in order to answer this question, of course, you need to stay until the end of this event.
Exactly, and now we'd like to continue with the first welcome speech, which is going to be given by Professor Fabio Pammolli. He is the president of Jacobs University and also a strategic advisory board member at Schaffhausen Institute of Technology. Professor Pammolli, we're extremely excited to welcome you here today, and we would like to give you the stage now. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Knowledge through science, or augmentum scientiarum, as Francis Bacon would have said, right? This is the core driver of economic growth, of individual development, the creation of novelty through new ideas, and through science, and through technology. So it's a pleasure to be here. I'm particularly honored to be here because I think this is an event which is really at the crossroads between our own function to promote knowledge through science and entrepreneurial development and individual paths that allow every individual to generate out of his mind an opportunity set that then affects the entire life. When Werner Heisenberg in 1925 decided to go to Helgoland, he decided to go to Helgoland, we don't know exactly why. There are several interpretations. Interpretation number one is that he was suffering from allergies, so he decided to go there because there were no trees. And so it was windy, and it was June the 7th, 1925. Second interpretation is that he loved pirates, and there was a Stortebeker who had like his own basis in Helgoland. So he decided to go there. And then one night, he was 23. He was asleep, and then the equations started to show him that he was right. He was able to get several phenomena explained, and he extended the Bohr theory of atoms. And he was 23. So first recommendation, do it when you are young, because this is where ideas come. Then you can refine those ideas. Then you can elaborate around those ideas. But this is the most important age in life. Second recommendation, be aware of the fact that ideas like the ones that he developed then affected technological developments and are still affecting technological developments in every field. We could not have transistors. We could not have the applications that we observe in our life, if not because of what he did. Then there was a second guy, 1 year later, Schrödinger in Austria. He was Austrian, but then he went with a girlfriend in Switzerland. And then apparently he created a second version of quantum mechanics, which is still alive. Those two traditions are still alive within the community. And again, it generated another stream of research. Why I'm referring to that? Because augmentum scientiarum, axiomentis, which means the individual contributing to these macro level trajectories. And this is important for society because we do not know economic growth and economic development if not as a result of the generation of new opportunities, if not as a result of entrepreneurial activities. So, welcome. Thank you for being here today. It's great to have you all, and then I wish all the best to the competitors. And it's an endless frontier. So even those who will not win today, we will have an opportunity to show through Schumpeterian turnover and creative distraction that they have an opportunity in their own life path. Again, all the best and welcome in Jacobs University here in Bremen. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor Pammolli. Next up, we have a welcome speech by Dr. Serguei Beloussov, the founder and chairman of the board of the Schaffhausen Institute of Technology and the chairman of the board of governors of Jacobs University Bremen. as well as founder and chief research officer at Acronis. We really appreciate it that you're here today. Thank you very much.
Welcome, everybody. So I wanted to give a speech which I usually give to business school students or startups about what is potentially important in building a good startup. So first of all, just for those who don't know me, because not everybody is from Jacobs, this is me. I was born in Soviet Union. I have started several companies when I was still in the university. Only one of them was started in the remains of Soviet Union. The second one and the third one was started in Singapore. Then I founded a company which was important for my career, Parallels. It was founded in Singapore in the year 2000. We went on and built the company to several billion-dollar market cap in pieces. And our software runs on every Mac and every Chromebook in the world. It also runs 50% of all the websites in the world, as it's used by all the web hosting companies. And it is also used to enable about $10 billion of cloud services. So it's a reasonably successful company. Then I have started, which is important for startups, I have started 3 venture funds, which are still part of our ecosystem: Runa Capital, Terra VC, and Day One Ventures. A combined is about $1.2 billion under management. We make $150 to $250 million of investments every year in about 50 to 80 companies. In the portfolio, there is probably a couple dozen unicorns. I have to tell you, unicorn is an outdated term. The inflation in the startup world is very high, so building a $1 billion company is no longer cool. When I started many years ago, it was cool. Now it's not cool. You have to go for at least 10 billion. And, you know, frankly speaking, I've seen recently presentations of the startups in our portfolio where there's somebody who is building a company with a, you know, at the moment, couple $100 million market cap will say like, okay, so my goal is $5 trillion market cap. And he's like, what? And he's like, yeah, but Apple is 2.5 trillion. So why can't I do twice as much? Because it's later, right? And so, and then my latest venture, which is our largest asset in the portfolio, is Acronis, which is one of the sponsors today. And it's a multi-$100 million company growing at a very fast pace, almost over 100% actually in the cloud, valued at several $billion. And, you know, again, it's a medium-sized successful company. That's the only company, and the first company in my career, which I have built while thinking with my head and not just running forward, which is quite often what you do when you are a startup. And so what did I learn while building these companies? And that's sort of a unique part of experience of myself and my team. And I want to point out that quite often when I'm presented as myself, but really it is 2 partners plus dozen junior partners which are going around and building companies. Some of them joined, some of them unjoined. They're from all over the world. So what did we learn? And between us, what we've done, which is good, not great. We haven't built any $100 billion or $1 trillion company, but we have built a dozen of financially successful multi-10, multi-$100 million in revenue technology companies with our own hands, which is important because all of you, as the guys who are competing today, the guys who want to compete, are building startups. So most complicated part is to get from 0 to 1 million and from 1 million to 10 million and from 10 million to 100 million. Once you get to 100 million, you will be okay. So first thing is that it's very important to do planning. It's very difficult to do detailed planning for 3, 5, 10 years because you don't have enough information. And hence here I'm quoting this battle commander. I've been quoting him for the past 15 years. I never knew that this quote will become relevant to the current geopolitical environment. But in preparing for battle, I have always found that plans are useless, but planning is indispensable. You know, even in case you think about current geopolitics, what happened with this situation between Ukraine and Russia, neither side have planned it. And now we have a disaster because they didn't plan it and they didn't go through planning procedure. And planning is very important. Planning does not prepare you. You're not going to be able to use a plan during the development of your company, but you will learn a lot while planning. And so it is important when you're building a startup, you have to not forget that in a startup, you have this special type of stress. And not everybody is ready for the stress, but unless you have the stress, you're doing something wrong. The first stress is that in the startup environment, there is always a change. You have to be able to change. That's your advantage in front of the large companies, Google, Microsoft, Amazon. They can do whatever they want, but they cannot move quickly. You have to be always able to change. You plan today to participate in the startup competition, and you are one of the nominants, but you have a better opportunity in Silicon Valley. You cancel participation here, you fly to Silicon Valley, and you don't fly in a week, you fly today. You go to the airport, buy a ticket, fly to Frankfurt. From Frankfurt to Silicon Valley, there is direct flight. Then there is not going to be a situation where the plan which you built will allow you to balance work-life. In a startup environment, there is no balance. There is always constant pressure. There is always not enough resources. There is always not enough time. And you are committing to building a startup. You have to really commit, no matter whether you're Generation Z, to make sure that what you do is your main occupation. This is your main thing. This is most important. Even in case you sleep or you do sports, you only do sports, sleep, and eat to be able to be more productive. And you have family, you maintain your family to be able to be more productive. There is no compromise. Whomever tells you about the compromise, they're lying to you. Then you have to be able to remember there is no way to not to focus. There is a very common saying which is taught in the book in MBA books, that it's most important to focus, and it is important to understand that focus is not something which is, it's just a word. Focus not doing one thing. You have to always be ready in a startup environment to pursue multiple threats. In any battle situation, you have to be acting in parallel to multiple threats. Startup is a battle. Next thing, it is important to have a strategy. It is important to have a strategy. It is very common to not have a strategy, not to think what is a strategy. You are not going to become a perfect strategist when you're building your startup, but you can do a little bit. And so this is a strategy which I sort of wrote to for Acronis, sort of how we should think about this. So what most important thing about the strategy is to know your opportunity, your total addressable market, to know as much as possible what you need to do. There is not a precise information, and there is never precise information, but the more you know about your total addressable market, the more you know about the terrain you're going to pursue, the more you know about your competition, about your customers, about your partners, about economic environments, about the geographies, about the dynamics. Very important, nothing is static in the technology world. Whatever was 10 years ago will not be in 10 years. Everything changes every month, every year. Then there is core part of the strategy, which is what is your unique differentiation, how you are different from others. It is important to be different from others, how you are different, and how does it fit your unique capabilities. You have some unique capabilities. All of us are different. How do you fit it into your unique capabilities? If you have any unique capability which you don't use to build your startup, most likely you are missing out. Most likely there is something else, somebody else who have some other unique capability. He will use his unique capability. You will not use your unique capability. So that means that you will likely be in a less advantage. Then it's another thing. It's about focus. It's very important to focus. Focus is not one thing. Focus is how, in a startup environment, instead of doing 100,000 things, to focus on 1,000 things. It is not about, I'm just focused on this. I'm focused just on a product, or I'm focused on this type of customer, or I'm today focused on building financial model. I'm focused on fundraising. You have to decrease number of things on which you focus, but it will not be one thing, and you have to be careful about not doing things which are not necessary to do right now. So this core strategy, and finally, you should not forget that you have to do good execution. Execution is a capability. Without execution, execution is it's required, but is not sufficient to succeed. You have to have an opportunity. That's what, in some ways, Fabio mentioned. Opportunity is most important. Opportunities are created by God. You don't create your own opportunity. Opportunity is found somewhere. You have to find your opportunity. Then you have to make sure that it fits into your differentiation, focus, and you can execute on it. it's important also in the way how you present yourself. Then, like it is important to think about how to feel about opportunity, right? So opportunity is something where you have to be able to make money. There are many opportunities where making money is not possible. You have to have very large upside, and you have to have acceptable downside. And so you need to research the market. This is how I research the market for Acronis. I've given an example. Acronis is reasonably successful. When I came to run it 8 years ago, 9 years ago, people were ready to sell it for $150 million. Right now, it's probably worth $5 billion. So it's reasonably successful. And that's how we think about it. There are types of partners, there is size of partners, there is location of partners, there is dynamics, and there is a specific definition of who they are. Acronis provides software for service providers. This is Acronis opportunity. There is acceptable downside in the opportunity. For entrepreneur, it's always important, and for your investor, it's always important to understand what's the worst case scenario. And there is unlimited upside. Then, of course, it is important to think about your capabilities and specifically about your leadership team and management. There are some anti-patterns here which should not be present in a startup. I mean, there is not, I mean, this is a good movie. For some reason, again, it's a military movie. I didn't mean it, but I didn't change it specifically. A lot of people, when I prepared this presentation from my team, told me you have to delete it. This is a good movie. Das Boot. Who watched it, this movie? Das Boot? Okay, so it's about the team. It's not really about the war. And so in the team, it is important there is one leader. Quite often, one of the anti-patterns I see is in the field is that you come start to pitch your startup and you present that there is 3 of us. And no, okay, so who is the CEO? Well, we have 2 CEOs, all right? We're all equally important. That doesn't work like this. In a startup environment, it's a small team. There must be one leader, and it better that leader presents the team. And that leader orchestrates the presentation to the other people about what you do. And the other people could be investors, could be partners, could be potential senior employees. And, again, the team spirit is important. And one thing which I found to be very important with team is that never overestimate ability of people to be understanding of what you mean. So, I mean, for me, this is a major problem. Through all my 30 years career in business, I have been continuously overestimating what people will center line. And startup is a battle. And so it's important to repeat. And it's important to be transparent with your team. Then, this is sort of my example of the fact that it is important to have some capabilities like partnerships, relationship, reputation, and credibility. I have at the end of the presentation of what we're planning to do with SIT and Jacobs, and I will try to talk about this from the standpoint of my own presentation. So how do we plan SIT and Jacobs that it kind of fits with this? It is important that on one side, it's a battle, and you have to win no matter what with your startup. But the flip side of it is that you have to also remember that it could be prolonged battle, and so keeping your reputation and credibility in front of your partners, customers, and investors is very important. And losing the credibility can happen once, and then after that, it will be very difficult to restore. And effectively, you are managing your team with words, and you are dealing with your partners by leveraging your credibility. If your credibility and reputation is broken, it's not good. I'm Singaporean citizen. I came to Singapore 28 years ago, and Singapore is very much built on partnerships. Country have no natural resources, and it is, of course, on the way from China and Japan and Korea to Europe and vice versa. But otherwise, there is nothing else but its reputation, its credibility, and its partnerships, which make Singapore one of the wealthiest and most successful and well-managed countries in the world. This is 3 interesting books. This guy is a founder of Singapore. The first 2 books are pretty long, and the last book is short, And it was written, believe it or not, 11 years ago, and it's reasonably well describing the situation of the world. And you know, who read this book, the last book? Anybody? It's a thin book. He talks about Americans, India, China, Singapore, Europe, Africa. He talks about geopolitics. It's kind of his last words. He died about the same year when the book was published. And he's a very wise man. Obviously, whatever he did to Singapore is not replicable in other countries because Singapore is unique. Who has been to Singapore? Okay, all right. So it's about it's smaller than Hamburg metropolitan area in size, about the same number of people, and it's an island. Then operational excellence. It's never enough. If you have time, always train your operational excellence. So this is a fish, shark. It's very stupid. It's extremely stupid fish. Fishes are generally smarter. It's one of the oldest fishes, but it's extremely efficient. And there are so many optimizations which are not strategic, such as, for example, cartridges bonds, which are very light, or regenerative teeth, so they can bite, and if the teeth pulls out, there's no problem. Or the massive lever to be able to run long distance and have enough energy, and so on. And the point is, don't underestimate operational excellence. If you have time, remember, startup is not a camping trip. And so if you have time to, what is operational excellence? Okay, ability to use Excel or PowerPoint. Or, for example, ability to type fast. You know, I always say that programming is nothing else but typing fast. So, you know, typing numbers, typing letters. If you can type fast, you can do a lot of programs very quickly. Or, you know, fluent English or ability to use Zoom. All of this, whatever, you can list number of things. If you make your team and yourself operationally excellent, it will always help. Then, you know, lesson number 7 is what comprises intellectual a good entrepreneur. And if you're a startup, you have to be an entrepreneur. And you know, this is sort of some sense which sometimes listed. So maybe entrepreneurs are clever, and maybe they have good education, right? They went to Harvard or whatever. They have amazing networks. They have connections, or they are very lucky. You have to have luck. If you're lucky, you're a good entrepreneur. Or they're hardworking, right? They're hardworking. They're nice looking. It helps to be nice looking. If you know, there is a high correlation between nice looking and being a president of the United States, right? So nicer looking presidents of the United States are more likely to be successful. They're good people. So they're sort of good, nice people. And they're good to talk to. They are like nice, they're just talking and listening. And they're good managers or good leaders or charismatic. And the reality is that none of this is true. You have very stupid entrepreneurs who are horrible people and total assholes, who are very ugly, who have zero education, who are actually not charismatic at all, right? And they are working 3 hours a day or less, and they are very unlucky, so they fail many times. And yet they are successful entrepreneurs. And so I created this sort of formula, list of things which I found important. And if you have them, you should develop them. And if you don't have them, you should try to acquire a little bit of them. Everything is in your hands. So first is ambition. So entrepreneurs are ambitious. Very important. Whatever you do, you should try to stay ambitious, and you should not have moderate goals. Moderate goals are not going to help you to raise capital. Investors don't want to invest in B class companies. They want to invest in A plus companies. Every investor wants A plus company. Great employees, great people who join your team don't want to work for B companies. They want to work for A plus companies. And so you have to be ambitious to build A plus company. You have to take initiative, right? So entrepreneurs are taking initiative. Initiative is quite often taken because they are not smart enough. Because, you know, initiative is dangerous. You take initiative and, you know, you fail. But a lot of entrepreneurs are stupid. They take initiatives. And that's good. Empathy. Empathy is not about being nice. It's about feeling what the other people feel. Quite often entrepreneurs are assholes, but they feel what the other people feel. And so they are assholes to their limit. Then you have to stay alert. So you have to always be thinking what is going on, what is happening. And there is always a different context. And that's the difference between entrepreneur and somebody else. you have to be always alert to the change of the context. You have to be very responsive. In entrepreneurial situation, you deal with unknown situation. Unknown situations tend to be as such unknown, unpredictable, and so there is a lot of things which are happening. It's better to respond quickly because you might need to change the way you respond as well quickly. Entrepreneurs are detail-oriented. In fact, reality is that we have this strange perception of scale that there are big things and small things don't matter. And actually, it's the other way around. Small things matter, big things don't matter. If you go to a large hotel, it may be in a beautiful building, but it may have a bad breakfast, and that's a problem. But you may have an ugly building and perfect breakfast, and you will feel cozy. And details matter with every product, and entrepreneurs are obsessive about details. Then you have to make decisions. Decisions are very difficult to do because most likely what it means in an entrepreneurial situation to make decisions is to be ready to get mistakes. And mistakes are never nice. You will be told that you are an idiot. I have been reasonably successful multiple times. Nevertheless, my partners constantly tell me that I'm an idiot. Whenever I have a chance to make mistake, it always happens that I feel like an idiot. Every week, several times. And so, but nevertheless, you have to make decisions because better to make bad decisions and change them than not to make decisions. Then very important to never give up. That's another feature. Entrepreneurs, for the same reason they take initiatives, they're quite often too stupid. They don't know that it's a time to give up and they keep fighting, and quite often they win after they should have lost or already lost. Right? It's a common scenario for entrepreneurs, especially in technology. Then there's three other things which I've added, most recently. First, you don't need to be hardworking. That's a mistake. I know entrepreneurs who work 20 hours a week and they're successful. Hardworking helps, but it's not a requirement. But when you work, you have to be very, very quick. So it's important to do a lot of tasks. So these entrepreneurs, when they switch on, they work very fast. So ultimately, even though they work 20 hours, they actually process a lot of tasks. So it's helpful. Then passion is helpful. Okay, passion is a funny feature that you have to love what you do. You don't do what you love. You have to love what you do. So you have to honestly start loving and believe in yourself, because nothing replaces passion in convincing people of what you do. And what you need to do as entrepreneurs, you need to convince people. You need to convince people that your startup is good, that they have to invest, that they have to work for you, they have to buy from you, they have to be your partner, and all of that they can do by doing some logical analysis, but they also can do by believing you. And they will only believe you if you are not shy and you're passionate. And then finally, it's important that in a startup, you have to care about every part of the business. There is no such thing on a Viking ship like I'm responsible for this and I'm not responsible for that. Everybody is responsible for everything. During the battle situation, everybody is reasonably equal, and everybody is fighting, and everybody is, pushing the boat forward, and so on and so forth. So every task should be your task, whether you're an entrepreneur or as a part of the entrepreneurial team. Just wanted to give sort of a transition. So when you grow, which I've done with Acronis, I've hired a corporate executive, corporate entrepreneurial executive. The value for large corporations are not the same as entrepreneurial values. Anybody who tells you that there is some unique criteria for building a company, they're sort of lying to you, because there is always a different context. And so in the context of a larger company, Acronis have over $300 million in revenue, several billion-dollar market cap, has 2.1 thousand people. The context changes. And so the values is more about pragmatism, perfection, and then you keep ambition, response, details, care, never give up, empathy, but you delete some items. And so it's a different thing. In a corporate situation, for example, in a Jakob situation, we cannot have the same entrepreneurial values, because university is a university. And by the way, who watched this movie? There Will Be Blood. Watch it. It's about how unpleasant it is to be a true entrepreneur. This particular guy is an asshole, but he's successful and he's an entrepreneur. It's difficult. If you want to build a startup, it's not a camping trip. And so this is the last lesson. Don't have more lessons. After that, I talk about our SIT venture in the sense of the previous. Is that never assume that you have learned everything. And so the way I think about it is that, there are people who think that they do what they want. And that is scientists. If you want to do what you want, you need to pursue academic career. Okay, scientists do what they want. Then there are people who think they need to do what they should. And that is people who work for governments or non-profit organizations. Non-profit organization governments, they do what they should. Help people or manage countries. You know, poor Fabio here, being a scientist and a president, he has to combine some of that, right, of the university. But entrepreneurs do what they can. So you don't do what you cannot do. You always choose what you can do, opportunity, strategy, execution capabilities. And so opportunity, execution, strategy, and strategy differentiation capability focus, if you don't actually see that you have the right strategy and you don't have the right opportunity and the execution is not perfect, you need to go back and try to improve. Because you know, there is no point participating in battles where you don't know for sure that you win. Okay, even in case you feel that you are going to win for sure, you might still lose, but it's better to only participate in battles where you have the chances of win which are much higher than average. And so this is sort of just one important comment which you should think about. What is your main challenge? So the competition in the world, this is our chairman of the board. He's Nobel Prize winner. He is in Singapore, and he, you know, about several months ago told me this, that competition used to be for resources, then for technologies, and now it's for talents. And so I think that's the way you should think about it. One of the major challenges you have is not the money, is the fact that right now talented people are needed for just about everything. In order for you to build your startup, you have to think about how you're going to hire most talented people. With most talented people, you can do whatever you want. And the only reason you need money or need to win in startup competitions is to get a better team members. And by the way, if you're not feeling this way, that means that you're not understanding something about your opportunity. Because if your opportunity is such that it doesn't require talented people, that must be that you don't know enough about it, or there may be too much competition. And so in that respect, I wanted to talk about what we do in Jacobs. I will talk very quickly. So first of all, I think, and I've learned that it's important to be focused on building startup which addresses world challenges. It is good business to address world challenges. It is good business to address things which are really problems. And so this is sort of a well-known problems, disease and aging. This list is 5 years old, but maybe it's 10 years old, but it didn't change. Definitely disease and aging, a problem. Social justice and poverty, environment, sustainability, wars and violence, major problem, right? Who would think it would be a problem in Europe, and space and universe challenges. And in Jacobs, we decided to focus on these three. In the future of SIT in Jacobs, we focus on aging, poverty, and environment. This is a problems which we want to reasonably address in the university part of it. And this is a problems which we believe can be addressed through science and education and through the approach we're taking. Then it is important to not only address problems, but to use certain opportunities and trends which are present, sort of waves which are not generated by you, which are present, and you can use them somehow to address those problems. And we believe these are these 5 trends. General intelligence, so everything we do will be using machine intelligence, general intelligence. You know, for example, cameras will become much cleverer, and they will be able to set themselves up on the floor without any people and set the volume without any people. It's not so difficult. Now we use people for it. There's so many things which are done by humans which can be done by machines, better, faster. And that doesn't replace humans. It just makes humans more powerful. Then quantum technology is another big opportunity, perhaps not as much seen yet, but is happening very quickly. And there's quantum centers, quantum communication, quantum computers, which are major opportunity to solve some problems in a different way. Then materials which we use to build devices today are primitive. They are designed in an accidental manner. Today, the science already can design materials in a predefined manner with predefined behaviors. We live in the world where there is a separation between us, living species, and the dead world. In the future, we will be able to create living buildings, living devices, living materials, which will behave much cleverer in response to how we use them. Then hybrid reality, well known, right? So, you know, Meta. Hybrid reality is something which is a major opportunity for both education, science, and everything. And then finally, the huge opportunity is the way how we engineer life in the future. today we already can engineer life. Even if in case you think that COVID was a sort of a horrible disaster, while it's been a horrible disaster, it's also a very clear indication that the world can react to challenges from viruses in a very engineering way. The vaccines were engineered very quickly, the methods were engineered very quickly to cure it, the antiviral disease were engineered very quickly. And so then we look at sort of things we are trying to address with what we do, and we look at, in order to solve those problems by leveraging those opportunities, we believe we need a better university system. And so if you look at these institutions on the left, they are built long time ago. They're legacy institutions, they're amazing institutions, but they're built first for education, then for science, then for tech business, and they have these minor challenges in how they run. Again, I'm not going to stop on this too much because it's too much challenge, but we believe those are sort of their strategic deficiencies. We can attack the existing system and we can build better processes, better services, and better products for such institutions to make them adaptive, hybrid, interactive, transparent, scientific approach to education and science as a process, efficient, accessible, agile, interdisciplinary. That is something which is difficult for them today. And for that, we found SIT. Again, important thing about SIT, we have certain strategy with SIT. We have non-profit part, which is Jacobs and SIT, where you are today. And we have this 5 for-profit businesses. First 2 businesses are software businesses. Second 2 businesses are services businesses. And the third business is an investment business, which we intend to use not in our university, but for all universities, all research centers, and all schools in the world. So how we're going to do it? First of all, we leverage the network of people. In order to build a university, in order to build a company, ultimately you need people. And so we have created a network of people and organizations, partnerships, which help us to sort of jumpstart our reputation, jumpstart our credibility, and jumpstart our expertise. And so these are the people from leading institutions who actually contribute hours to our venture, who are committed to do something what we do, and they develop our capabilities. They are on different boards, and these boards are not just boards. This is not just networks. These are the people who are contributing hours, tens of hours and hundreds of hours every year into what we do. And with that, the strategy is very simple, and it's going to be corny, but frankly speaking, I'm a very ignorant person. I'm just busy, and so sometimes I miss a lot of things, and I miss social networks. And then I watched the movie Social Network. Have you watched the movie Social Network? And the movie, I've realized why Facebook was so successful. And it's a reasonably simple thing. It's kind of a thin thread somewhere in the movie, is that Facebook had this very special strategy where they first were #1 in Harvard, then in Columbia, then in a bunch of other universities, then a bunch of other important centers. Then they went broad, right? So the marketing, go-to-market approach was very good. And so that's the same thing we want to do here. So what we really want to do here in terms of strategy with SIT, and again, think about how you can apply to your startup, is that we built a network of collaboration with leading groups and leading universities of the world. Through that network and through our university, we can get access to people who can join our startups and who can join our university. And in addition to that, we use our university not only to build the network, but as a test bed for all the services and products which we built. So imagine in 10 years, we produce 300 different products and services for leading universities. Harvard uses 30. Oxford uses 50, some other 50, 20 may be the same. Cambridge uses 10. Our own university uses all of the 300. And so it's a test bed for all the services, and it's a reference point. And then with that, we go and we sell not to the institutions. We don't want to sell to Harvard. Harvard is a $6 billion expense budget, very large institution. We want to sell to a professor in the institution. Professor is a self-decision-making unit. So we sell him one or another service from SIT Business Services, SIT Alimiro, or SIT Rollers. They start using this piece of software, that piece of software, and we sell to one professor, another professor, another professor, another professor. Eventually, we end up 10 professors at Oxford, 10 professors at Cambridge. And at certain critical mass, we come to Cambridge and Oxford and say, look, your professors already using us. Do you want to have a site license? Do you want to make it possible for all of your professors to consider using us? After we get these top universities to use us, we go to other universities and say, look, here is a case study. Harvard is using Alimera this way, this way, this way. And Oxford is using Rolos that way, that way, that way. And you are, let's say, University of, I don't know, Fabio, which University of Milan, do you want to use at a good price, good tools, which are also have great reputation, they're used by Harvard? And that makes it much easier for us to close the deal with this guy. So that's a strategy. First the network and the people and the test bed, then the professors, then the leading institutions, and then after that, we go abroad. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Dr. Beloussov, thank you so much. Thank you very much. I'm sure that was very inspiring to all the young entrepreneurs here today to see what you have achieved in your lifetime and that they can take this as an example for their further operations. And now we will continue with our first keynote speech of the day, which is going to be happening online. So, Mr. Franke, if you could please raise your hand, and then you'll be able to see and hear you. Hilmar Franke is today joining us from our partner Deloitte, and yeah, we're very excited to have you here. And yeah, we'll give the stage to you now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. How do I share my screen? It's probably pretty easy, right?
There should be an option for it.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. So Dr. Beloussov focused on lessons learned every entrepreneur should remember. For me, entrepreneurs focus on problems that might not even exist, solving them. So my keynote is a little bit about a problem that needs to be solved, a decarbonized world. When Lucas Brockner approached me, he asked me, well, could you do a keynote about digitalization or decarbonization? And I thought, well, maybe maybe it's even possible to combine those two. So hopefully,
Mr. Franke, one moment. Could you maybe share your slides in full screen so we can see it in full screen? Could you go to the presenter mode, please?
To the presenter mode. Share screen.
Exactly.
Can you see it now?
Yes. Could you then, in the program, go to presenter mode?
Always the problem with strategy consultants. They don't have a clue about technology.
The fourth at the top left, top right, on slideshow.
This
on
one?
the upper bar.
One up.
One up, please.
Up.
There. Right, left, right.
Right. There it says
left,
slideshow.
Left of review.
Ah.
Exactly. And then start from, click it.
It's not working.
Up with your, or yeah, down there. There's multiple options. One of them.
Very terribly sorry, guys.
Exactly. You can go to slideshow. Yes. You can click that. Exactly. And then go to the first one from beginning. Top left. On the top left, there it says from beginning. Exactly. Could you go up? Yes. And then to the left. Click. Could you maybe try that again from beginning? Just click it again. Okay. If not, then just start.
Terribly sorry, guys. So let's have a look into the future and a problem that needs to be solved. And I think there's a lot of room for entrepreneurs to participate in the solution space. So a little bit about myself. Hilmar Franke, I'm a director, 17 years in management consulting. joined Monitor Deloitte 8 years ago. Monitor was founded by Michael Porter, so Harvard professor, founder of the 5 Forces. And I'm focusing most of the time in my career on the energy space. And over the last, I would say, 2 to 3 years, there's a lot of momentum coming up in the industry. And decarbonization is nothing new. I mean, we focused on that for the better part of the last decade. And digitalization is nothing new as well. We focused on that for the better part of the last decade as well. So why am I talking about both? Because over the last couple of years, so it started in 2015 with the Paris Agreement that we want to have a carbon neutral world in 2050. And for a long time, energy was just a cost factor for most of the industries, and especially in Europe, as industrial Western countries. Competitiveness is one of the key aspects, and energy costs were something that they focused on. They needed to be low. So green generative energy was always seen as a luxurious good and a cost factor. And that actually changed over the last couple of weeks. The 24th of February was pretty much a game changer, like the tip of the iceberg that needed to be broken down. I spoke to a corporate development head yesterday from an OEM company, and they actually started thinking about, well, decarbonization is one thing. We have that on our strategic agenda, but the recent events showed that we're highly dependent on Russian gas, and we need to change that, because now the prices are that high that green energy is actually a very valid alternative to fossil fuels. So let's think about how we can not only become green as a company and offer green products to our customers, but how could we actually enable the whole region around our production facility to become green and energy autonomous? So that is actually the question that I would like to focus on. And mainly, the decarbonized future is driven by 3 things, and they need to interlink. So it's the 3 Ds we're talking about: decarbonization from centralized fossil fuel generation to a fragmented, very decentralized energy system to become decarbonized. The decentralization part, if you look into 2030, all the forecasts show that, at least in Germany, we have more than 10 million electric vehicles on the streets, and we have an additional 10 million decentralized generation assets like PV or wind assets in the market. So we have 20 million assets we're talking about that need to be interlinked to keep the stability of the energy system, because nobody wants to sit in a cold and dark flat at home. Or production is not running, so we're running out of goods that we can procure. And what needs to be done as a basis to control those 25 million additional assets in real time, so to keep the stability in the system, is a digital backbone. It's about computing, it's about on-edge computing, it's about mass data orchestration. So those 3 Ds need to be interlinked. And who's responsible for decarbonization in the future? Well, the answer to that question is actually pretty short and simple. It's every one of us. It's the guys sitting in the audience right now and the entrepreneurs that's solving the problems. And every industry and every sector needs to focus on the question of decarbonization. As you can see, energy industry needs to fulfill the majority part of reduction targets, but all the other industries like traffic, like industry, like agriculture, like buildings, Dr. Beloussov talked about living buildings, there needs to be a game changer as well. So everyone sitting in this room, everyone in the industry, every private household needs to be a part of the decarbonization process. And that actually offers a lot of potential for new ideas. How to orchestrate that is, as I mentioned, it's going to be from a centralized generation system to decentralized consumption systems into an ecosystem. So a lot of more players will enter that system, not only decentralized production sites, energy networks like virtual power plants to combine these centralized assets. Mobility moves into that sector as well. E-mobility, and for me, a game changer between mobility and energy will be bidirectional charging. So the car is not only a consumption place, but it can also be an active participant of the stabilization system. And to steer that kind of ecosystem in the future, you need a lot of technology. So computer visioning, you need sensors to generate this kind of data. You need spatial imaging, like digital twins, to actually know where capacity constraints might appear in the future, or where some generation capacities are out of order. And that more or less in real time. And at the end of my speech, and I think this is where you guys enter the playing field. There's a lot of potential for creative minds to solve problems that might not even exist, or to help solving the problems that we know about, but that still needs to be solving. So something like more intelligence into predictive maintenance, something like blockchain interlinkation between the 20 million decentralized assets that will be there in the next 8 years. We need some kind of certificate trading in real time. We need more commitment from every decentralized party to become part of the future decarbonized energy system. And if you look at 20 million combined decentralized assets talking to each other in real time and exchanging energy from a location that has excess capacity to someone who has less capacity at the moment, there will be microtransactions in real time on a million scale. So this is a field where creative minds like yourself probably can contribute with smart innovations based on a digital playing field. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Hilmar, Franke, for your keynote speech. It is a true pleasure to have Deloitte with us this year, and I hope next year you will also be able to join us here in person at Jacobs University. So,
yeah, very sorry, but it's my daughter's 7th birthday today, and that kind of has priority.
Absolutely, that is perfectly understandable. So thank you so much for taking the time and being here with us and giving us this great keynote speech.
Good luck to all the finalists.
Thank you. And now we move on to a partner presentation coming from Sonja Mattfeld. You can already come up here. We'll hand you a microphone. And Sonja is here representing Bridge, a network from all Bremen universities, which are fostering the startup and entrepreneurial environment here in Bremen. So, Sonja, take it ahead. Thank you very much for being here.
Yes, thank you very much for the invitation, and congratulations to the organizing team. I think it's a wonderful event. And yes, maybe a few words to myself before presenting Bridge, the initiative of universities in the federal state of Bremen. I am active there since only a few months, but Bridge itself originated in 2020. So we are celebrating our 20th anniversary now. And I'm just getting to know it because I have been joining Bridge and the startup initiative here at Jacobs University only in January, after being an entrepreneur myself for about 6 years, leading a startup from a 2-person show, not until a unicorn, as we have heard before, but to a well-functioning 15 people employer. And this 6 years was a very inspiring and yes, exciting time. And I wish to all the finalists here today that they can also experience these exciting times for their startups during the next years. So at Bridge, what we are doing, we are supporting the student startups, students from our universities in supporting their ideas to transform them into potential businesses. Why are we an initiative of 5 universities and the Bremer Aufbaubank, which is a federal support program also supported by the state of Bremen. And together we join in offering events and improving the entrepreneurial spirit of our students. But we are not alone. In our universities, we are also embedded in the Bremen startup ecosystem. So this is especially interesting as the BAB Aufbaubank. They are jointly also together with the Starthaus Bremen and ESA, the Business Incubation Center, which will also present later here today. And of course, also with the official public institutions like the Chamber of Commerce, or also private initiatives like Bremen Startups, where the student entrepreneurs can really express themselves and also exchange within the network here in Bremen. What we offer in short, I don't want to go too much into details because I think we are already slightly over time and the finalists might be nervous already to pitch and have maybe a short break in between. So what we offer are events and workshops, individual coachings, and also we have a contest for business ideas. So one of the most interesting events we have is the Startup Lounge, which takes place twice a year. It was always a nice networking event before Corona. Then we took it off to the online network, but still it's a nice informal way for students to talk to experienced entrepreneurs coming from the same background. What we also offer are, okay, normally there should be some content in the starter workout. Starter workout are 7 sessions to 7 specific topics, where workshops giving the students the background from legal information to price policy to marketing to how do I set up on the tax registration and so on. So these are really content workshops where we support our students. Furthermore, we have our coaching modules where students can really come with their individual help. We identify their consulting needs, and we also recommend special support programs. We recommend them special programs, for example, the Exist Stipend, which is originating from the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Climate Action. So there, the networking of the different universities is really helpful, as we have a team there where we can support our students. Yes, also similar to JSC, but not as international as JSC, we have the competition Campus Ideen, where we invite Bremen students to participate. And there, over the last years, we have had already over 700 business ideas. And for this year, whoever wants to participate from our finalists, who are originating from Bremen, are still welcome to apply until end of May. Yes, some words to the activities we are doing here at Jacobs University within the Bridge network, because unfortunately most of the activities done in Bremen are in German, but we embed here more or less the English activities. So all our workshops are offered, not of course in English. We also offer the feedback coaching and have also a summer camp where our students can replace their internship with working in their own company. We offer co-working spaces here on campus and are also having a close cooperation with faculties, with our laboratories, so that students who have to need some tool shops or similar can really work exactly in these laboratories. Of course, also mentoring programs with our alumni association and cooperation with JSC is what we have here on campus. Further on, we plan various event series, especially also on finance and funding with SIT ecosystem. Or Dr. Beloussov told us he is involved in many VC funds. So there we are also in close cooperation to plan some series on that topic. And last but not least, as most international university of the Bremen universities, we want to reach out to further cooperations with international startup ecosystems. So also to all participants here for JSC, I think this is an interesting idea to widen regional initiatives to international other regions we have. Back to Bridge, we always exchange in the university network so that we make sure that all the entrepreneurial activities are also embedded in the programs, in the study programs. So there we have some lighthouse professorships and chairs in the different universities where we really lead the initiative. Yes, Bridge has always been a success story. More than 300 startups have been originating from our universities in Bremen during the past 20 years. So also from Jakobs, giving 2 examples. There are, for example, ShareMag at the bottom right, or Waste End, the green logo right on top. These companies have, for example, also received an Exist stipend. So these are stories which we like, of course, to display, and we are looking forward to have more of them in the future. Some more success figures on that. Just to mention that we really have our top rankings also in the different German monitors. So the regional cooperation is there really a good recipe of success. Yes, as I said earlier, we are looking forward to having cooperations also with other international university networks. And of course, within Jakobs, we are looking also forward to having more students coming into our programs, into our workshop sessions and the networking, because as Fabio Pammolli and Serguei Beloussov also said, the networking is one of the key issues which we have here between our startups. And now I think we have time for a break.
I hope, yes. Thank you so much, everyone. And thanks a lot to Sonja for giving this presentation. The Bridge Network is really, really inspiring. Many top stories coming here from Jakobs University have been realized through the network. So yeah, really great job, and glad to have you also in our network. Now it's time for a 15-minute break. So for our audience who is with us here in person, you can move to the foyer, enjoy a coffee, a drink, get some snacks for a meet back here at 2 p.m. And for our audience online, please, you can take some rest, but also you can make use of the online networking opportunities. So you can move, for example, to the table section in the lounge, and you can talk to other people there. Also, you can check out our company booths, which you find in the booth section. We have some company representatives there. So make use of those opportunities online and talk to some people. So thank you very much. See you back in 15 minutes.